University. Thank you, Lord, for everyone here today, and thank you for all our staff, our educators, our students. Thank you for the rain you're sending our way. Just ask that you be with us this evening. Let's get out of this meeting. Give you glory and honor for it. In Christ's name, amen.
Mr. Johnson, could you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, July 21st, 2015 meeting on the District School Board to order. First item on the agenda is to amend, or to adopt the agenda. We have one amendment on personnel. Teaching position from the Gap to Holmes County High School be transferred to Bonifay building.
Teaching position from the Gap to Bonifay Elementary School.
Okay, so that would be the amendment.
Right.
Take a motion to accept the amendment and the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda along with the amendment.
Vote. Mr. Johnson, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Justice. Any discussion? Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
Ms. Cometz is not with us tonight. She is not feeling well. Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
She votes yes. Thank you. Second item, hearing the public. We seem to have a number of people with us tonight. We appreciate you being here. I'll just remind you that this time is set aside for you to express your views and your opinion. And what we would ask you to do is be respectful. And when you come to the podium, state your name. You have 5 minutes to do that. We would ask you to please remain, quiet in the gallery while the person at the podium speaks, and you'll have your opportunity after they get through. With that being said, who would like to be first?
I'm Susan Steverson. As you school board members are surely aware, Superintendent Dixon plans to involuntarily transfer me to Gap. I consider this simply the latest in what has become a large number of disciplinary measures against me. All of the disciplinary measures are actually harassment and retaliation for the times I have expressed questions or concerns about school policies. I have a document for the superintendent and board members known as a whistleblower complaint. Please read it carefully and follow the school board policy on whistleblower protection. I request that the adverse personnel actions against me cease and desist, and that I be allowed to remain as high school English teacher at Bethlehem High School. And if you would, make sure everyone gets one. Thank you.
My name is Sally Brock. School board members, you will soon be faced with a decision either to accept a proposal by Superintendent Dixon or to reject it. That decision will be made on August 4th, and it will concern the involuntary transfer of Susan Steverson from Bethlehem High School to the Gap, where Superintendent Dixon's brother Ron is the administrator. Susan has been told by the superintendent to report to Gap on August 3rd, and that the transfer will take place during the first school board meeting in August. So she is being transferred before the vote to transfer her takes place. Dixon once before recommended you act unlawfully, while your attorney sat by without advising you of this. When he asked you to suspend Susan Steverson for a week without pay, even though Dixon had already made her serve the suspension before you ever had a chance to vote yea or nay. The fact that Dixon is so sure of how you will vote tells me one of two things. Perhaps 3 or more of you have met with Dixon and assured him of following his recommendation. This would mean you have met outside of the sunshine and therefore acted unlawfully. Or perhaps the rest of you have said to him the same thing that Mr. Johnson is on the record as having said, that your job as a school board member is to do whatever Mr. Dixon tells you to do. Either way, you would be acting in a manner unbecoming to an elected official. Susan Steverson has taught at Bethlehem for 28 years. She does not wish to leave. She wants to finish her career where she began it. She has complied with every order she has been given, which of course is the opposite of gross insubordination, a charge she has never been guilty of in her entire career, even though she has been accused of it several times by the present administration. This involuntary transfer is simply more harassment by the superintendent. He has repeatedly harassed her with false accusations in an attempt to humiliate her and force her to resign as a teacher in Holmes County. Susan Steverson has stepped forward to expose corruption, particularly when it comes to the attendance policy. And every time she has spoken about attendance, she has been slapped down and punished, suffering reprimands, suspensions, and after explaining how erroneous, how absolutely ludicrous the 95% attendance rate that Dixon touted is, now she is being involuntarily transferred by him. As a whistleblower, she has rights, and you school board members are obligated to protect her rights. According to school board policies, quote, neither the school board, superintendent, department heads, nor principals shall take or recommend to the school board to take adverse personnel actions against an employee for disclosing information pursuant to the provisions of this policy, end quote. Furthermore, quote, the information disclosed under this section shall include reporting of any violation or suspected violation of federal, state, or local laws, school board policy, or administrative directive by a school board member, employee, or independent contractor, which presents a substantial and specific danger to interests of the school board. Additionally, information disclosed which indicates acts or suspected acts of malfeasance, misfeasance, gross waste of funds, or neglect of duty committed by an agency shall be included, end quote. Board members, you can put a stop to this harassment now. Let the superintendent know that you will not vote in favor of his recommendation on August 4th. Allow Susan Steverson to report to Bethlehem High School on August 3rd and finish out her teaching career there. By law and by your own policies, you are required to protect her rights as a whistleblower. If you choose to vote in favor of the superintendent's recommendation, you will be guilty of harassment as well. I cannot believe that you will choose to do that and thus face legal action against you. You have the power to end this unjust persecution of Susan Steverson. Step forward and do that. And while on the subject of harassment, let me just say how reprehensible I find it that you board members would stand by and allow Eddie Dixon to denigrate, browbeat, bully, and harass a fellow board member without standing up to him. I pray that you will ask God for wisdom and discernment.
Yes.
Thank you.
One minute.
My name is Jessica Salas, and I'm a former student of Ms. Steverson. I just want to say I've never had a better English teacher than Ms. Steverson, and she has taught me so much. In my 7th grade year, in all the years I've had her, her rules have always been the same, and she has never chosen favorites or least favorites. She's always treated all of us equally. I feel she should stay at Bethlehem and continue teaching for all the students who's going into her class and all the ones that's already been in her class that wish to remain to stay. Thank you.
Abigail Watford. I think it is unfair how Ms. Steverson is being treated. She's the best teacher I've ever had, and she's the only teacher that has ever made an impact on my life. She cares about students, if they get a proper education or not. I think attendance is a good thing to have and to be looked at seriously. My attendance record is false. I would like to succeed in life, and by Ms. Steverson having these rules, I feel like I will. I really believe that Ms. Steverson deserves to stay at Bethlehem High School and should not be transferred to Gap. I had Miss Steverson my freshman year at school. She
Could you
was
pull
my,
down just a little closer, sweetheart? So, yes, thank you.
she was a wonderful teacher. Anybody who knows Miss Steverson knows that her classroom has rules and that they're not unreasonable. They know that they can't be late because you're not supposed to be late to class anyways. And they know that they need to be prepared. Miss Steverson is a very loving person. She takes time to get involved in her students' lives. I always knew that I wanted to be a teacher, but it wasn't until I had her class that I fell in love with English, and then I knew that that's what I was going to teach. She's impacted my life very much, and what's being done to her is very unfair. It's okay. It's okay. And I think Mr. Eddie Dixon, is just abusing his power and being a big bully, and that y'all should stand up to him, because y'all know this is wrong. Thank you. Good job.
I'm sorry, I'm already crying. I'm Rachel Sellers. I'm Jessica's mom. I have 2 other students. One just graduated this past year, and all 3 of my children have had Miss Steverson. And my husband had Miss Steverson. His name is Calvin Sellers. And they have all told me, I didn't have the privilege to have her as a teacher. I went to school in Pensacola. But from what they tell me, I would have loved to have a teacher like her. And I feel if she is continuously persecuted and being treated like she is, that is just sending a message to students that it's okay to disrespect a teacher. It is okay to be late for class. If you go out on the job market and you're late for work, you will be fired. What kind of message are we sending the students if we're telling them, hey, it's okay to be late for your class? I mean, that's not getting them prepared for work. To me, school is getting the children prepared to go out into the workforce. You cannot prepare them for the workforce if you are telling them that they can be late. That's not the way it is in the real world out there working. We need to put our feet down and tell them that it is not okay to be late, that you have to be on time. I'm pretty sure the stipulations at Bethlehem is pretty much like it was at the schools I went to. If you are late 3 times, you got detention and you were counted as a day of absence. We did not get leniency on it. We were told this is how it was, and that's how it was. We knew that we had to be on time for class, and I was blessed to have good teachers. But at the way my kids talk about Miss Steverson, I would have been even more blessed to have a teacher like her. I'm sorry. But I just pray and ask that y'all do not send her away, because my little girl still has 2 more years of high school, and there's other students coming behind her that will be very blessed to have her as a teacher. Thank you, and God bless.
Someone else.
My name is Randy Thomas. I'm a former student of Ms. Steverson's. My sister spoke up here a minute ago, and she got pretty emotional. And I wanted to say that the fact that this many people are here and are as emotional as they are should give you a clue about what you're doing. You are ruining a wonderful person's life. You're destroying her reputation, and there's no need for it. She is an absolutely astounding teacher. One of the things that she teaches in her class, besides English, which she does very well, by the way, she's a marvelous teacher, but she teaches you how to take responsibility for your actions. You show up to class on time and prepared, and that's how you're supposed to lead your life. But now because of the actions of a few students, you're taking away an opportunity for several others who want to learn, who want to make English their career. You're taking that opportunity away from them and letting them know that it is okay to just walk all over people in charge. I don't think it's right. I think some of you are cowards. I don't think you're doing what you need to do as elected members of the school board.
Someone else?
I'm Christine LaCause. I live in Bonifay. I have a son that's going into 7th grade at Bethlehem School. I would first like to read a quote to you. My administration is committed to creating an unprecedented level of openness in government. We will work together to ensure the public trust and establish a system of transparency, public participation, and collaboration. Openness will strengthen our democracy and promote efficiency and effectiveness in government. President Barack Obama. This sounds like something our local government should adopt and promote as well, but unfortunately that is not the case in Holmes County. Instead, since our current superintendent has taken office, there has been a long series of events that, to be perfectly honest, blow my mind. I have been privy to and witnessed so many acts of unethical behavior, as well as the breaking of so many of the state sunshine laws, I've lost count. And believe me, I have paid attention and done my research. The unfair and unlawful treatment of Mrs. Steverson's case is a perfect example of this, and yet there is so much more. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The issues of favoritism, nepotism, and cronyism are still extremely pervasive in our county, and especially within our school district. It is truly a crime that these backwards ideals and unlawful practices are being perpetrated by people who were not only elected to office by the people, for the people, but also to protect the general welfare of our students and teachers. It is also a crime that we the people of this county, have allowed this to go on at all and continue to let it go on year after year at the expense of our children's well-being and education. They are the future of this county, and unless we take back control of their destinies, they will have no future at all. For example, it is apparent that the funding received by the state each year is not fairly and evenly dispersed within our county schools. Although the alma maters, I assume, of most or all of our school board are awarded funding for sports and many other extracurricular activities, as well as better food for the children, better curriculums, Bethlehem School gets the short end of the stick time and time again. Poor school breakfasts and lunches, subpar curriculum and leadership, and little or no extracurricular activities, just to name a few. May I ask if that seems fair to anyone present here today? If it does, then you are openly supporting favoritism and corruption. Why are some of our schools not getting fair treatment and a fair amount of state funding? And now a good teacher who does care about her students is being involuntarily transferred just for trying to create some semblance of order in her school. Not to mention other teachers who have also been transferred, and those who have retired, more than likely because of the current state of our leadership on the Holmes County School, in the Holmes County School District. In case that people are not aware of it, just about the entire middle school is getting a complete overhaul for the coming school year. As all of this goes far beyond the court of public opinion too. This is clearly unethical and unlawful, and yet some of you in power are blatantly and brazenly abusing it, ignoring the most basic tenets and practices you were elected to uphold. In my opinion, and I'm sure in all sensible people's opinions, these practices are not only wrong and unlawful, but they're also extremely ungodly and unchristian. So the hypocrisy existing here is quite evident as well. It seems as if our school district is setting their students up to fail, except for the select few who are connected. It actually sounds an awful like the mafia, to be perfectly honest. What I wonder is how you can sleep at night when so much of what you do is wrong and unethical. Unless you are completely sociopathic, you must have some conscience about this. If you do, then you will heed our words here today and all the others that have been spoken before, and truly do what is right here. Mr. Dixon does not rule over you. He is supposed to work for you. I know he uses his bullying tactics, though, on you, on teachers, the administration, parents, and teachers as well, and that is difficult to counteract, but it is not impossible. There is strength in numbers, and all of us who see these wrongs and know something has to be done about them are responsible to make that happen. If we don't, then we are as guilty as those who are perpetrating them. We cannot turn a blind eye any longer, and the way that can be done is available to all of us by state law. We have the right to speak out and to report wrongdoings and unethical behavior. That is the campaign that we should be running prior to the next elections. Because the way to make change happen is to speak at the polls, and I will do everything I can to see that the righteous people of our county speak loudly at these polls and at the state level. And if necessary, I will personally take this to the federal level. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Will.
My name is Rhonda Clyde. I'm an attorney for Susan Steverson. I didn't intend to speak tonight, but I sat here and listened to these people and decided that maybe I should. Ms. Steverson was suspended for gross insubordination. Did any of you know what that meant or bother to look at the definition of it? And you approved it. And now I'm reading one of the pleadings filed on behalf of the board, I suppose, that whatever discipline is administered, it should be the least embarrassing and humiliating to the employee. I want to back out of the politics for a minute and just speak to you as people. What do you think the impact was to the school when Ms. Steverson was removed from her class by officials with her son sitting there? Do you think of anything more humiliating than that? And then she has to return and guide that class. Do you guys care? I have been before you, not you guys, but before this agency a number of times. I grew up in Holmes County. I would love to say I am proud to be from here, but rather I call it an island unto itself. That is a good place to be from. I wish you'd make a difference. Look at what you can delegate and what you cannot delegate. And I'm sure Mr. Taylor will give you good advice on that. But ask that question of yourselves. I had a few notes that I was making as these people talked, and she was a really hard act to follow. This is school. This is not, should not be antagonistic. You have a lot of power if you will exercise it. But if you sit by and delegate it all to one individual, you are of no use to anyone.
Amen.
That is what your purpose is to have a check and balance. And when you see something awry, act. Please act. You're not a rubber stamp. You are not a rubber stamp. And you should not become one. These people have spoken, and they're supporters of Ms. Steverson, as am I. But the bigger concept here is, what are you teaching? What are you doing? Do you even know the definition of gross insubordination? And maybe I shouldn't ask them questions. I don't mean to, infringe upon your rules. But your rules have been so vacillated. I see nothing in the minutes when you change the rules Mr. Williams, from not letting Sally speak, Ms. Steverson's sister, to saying, okay, it is an open forum. You can speak. There should be some indication of when that was made, other than behind closed doors. We are in the sunshine. And whether you want to be or not, you will be. You will be. Thank you for your time.
No one else will.
Odell Paul, I live in Bethlehem community. I've been coming to several board meetings and just listening to what you have to say. And I know how the system works. I've been in the system 41 years, 27 as principal. Okay? Now, the question I have is this: what about our students? I've known Ms. Steverson 25, 30 years. Never had a problem. I think she's an excellent teacher. If she moves to the Gap, it'll be more than a plus for the Gap, because I taught at the Gap. But what about the students at Bethlehem? Can you replace a veteran teacher with a first-year teacher or whoever it is you're going to hire? That's the question that I want you to think of. Thank you.
Anyone else? We'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting and move into item 3, unfinished business. We'll amend the contract with the health department, table on 7/7/15. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move we take it off the table.
Motion by Mr. Justice, do we have a second? I'll second. Second by Mr. Johnson. Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Yes. Chair votes yes. I'll entertain a motion to approve. Discussion, if you'd like. Pleasure, board leader. Ma'am. Motion, so. Where we are is we have a motion on the table to approve or disapprove. That's for the last meeting. So,
The motion is what? To approve or
to vote
disapprove?
for or against.
Approving this. Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson, no. Chair votes yes, thank you. Item 5, Mr. Hawkins.
I passed out some information regarding what will appear in the paper, should appear in the paper, for our budget for the 2015-2016 year. And we would request that the board approve this particular budget to be advertised in the paper. And we will come back for a second motion, or it can be incorporated into this, is to course, we plan to have it advertised on July 29, which is Wednesday of next week. And then, if you want to approve all in one motion, have a second motion to have our board meeting, first public hearing on the tentative budget on August 3, on Monday. And we can't, as long as it's after 5 o'clock, we have had it at 5:05. And of course, I know your regular board meeting is at 6 o'clock. Of course, we can handle these in two separate motions, or approve the budget and the date and the time to be advertised, you know, at your choice. If you want to separate them out, make it less complicated. Okay, well, then you would need to specify that the ad that I currently have fixed up is that it will be at 5:05 p.m. Now, if you, on August 3, if that is acceptable, then we can probably do it all at one time, or either you'll need to amend the motion accordingly to have it, as long as it's after 5.
So it could be at our regular 6 o'clock. I mean, we could have that.
We would have to have it before Monday, is that correct?
Correct. After we advertise, we have to, after we advertise it in the paper, we have to have our meeting within 3 to 5 days. And so Monday is 5th and final day to actually have the public hearing. So, and the 29th is the last day of the month of which we can advertise. So fortunately, Wednesday, you know, the Wednesday paper, which will be dated on July 29, then the trim says we have to have it within 29 days, you know, for July 1. So that's the latest that we can advertise it, and then we have to have it 3 to 5 days thereafter. So 3 to 5 days after Wednesday, your Monday is usually about the best time. Voting board.
Make a motion, we approve to advertise for the 2015-16 budget
For Monday, August the 3rd, 2015, at 5:05 p.m.
That would be the meeting.
Yes. Have a motion, do we have a second? Second. Second by Mr. Justice.
And I would, would also indicate that the millage rates are on, you know, the big page there. Of course, required local effort is required. If we have the discretionary, then obviously we did it 1.5. Those millages are on that ad also.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Yes. Chair votes yes. Thank you.
Thank you. 5:05 on August 3rd.
Can that take place during this?
And that will take the place of our regular Tuesday meeting. Exactly.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to request for the board to approve the code of conduct for the 2015 school year.
For the recommendation by Ms. Bush, and the changes are noted, highlighted in yellow in our code of conduct. A motion to approve the student code of conduct.
We would approve the student code of conduct.
Motion by Mr. Johnson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Owens. Any discussion or questions from Ms. Bush? Ms. Owens?
One thing I was pleased to see, because I had some questions about whether kids, since we're doing the free lunch for everybody, if they would be able to buy additional lunches and breakfasts, because some of them. Okay.
Any other comments? Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Justice? Yes. Mr. Johnson? Yes. Chair votes yes. Thank you. Move to item 7, the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the invoices and POs from 7/7/15, the regular session minutes.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Mr. Justice. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Owens. Any discussion? Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Yes. Chair votes yes. Thank you. Item 8, personnel for action, recommendations. Goodman standing in for Mr. Dixon, who is out of town.
Mr. Chairman, the superintendent would like to recommend to the board that the following be approved. hire the following for the 2015-2016 school year. Julie Lassiter as PE teacher at Bethlehem High School. Vicki Duke as math teacher at Bethlehem High School. Rebecca Carney as an elementary teacher at Poplar Springs. Barry Lee as a teacher at The Gap. Renee Sellers as lunchroom worker at PD Apostolian Elementary. Victoria Short as an ESEA 1 at Holmes County High School. Transfer the following for 2015-2016 school year. Rebecca Peterson, teacher at Bonifay Elementary School to Apostolian Elementary. Deborah Jones, teacher at Bonifay Middle School to Poplar Springs. Zach Lee, A3 at Apostolian High to Bethlehem High School. And a teaching position from The Gap to Bonifay Elementary School for kindergarten based on population of ESE inclusion increase. Accept resignation, employment of the following. Annabeth Rackley, teacher at Bonifay Elementary School, and Misty Hicks, teacher at Ponce-Leon High School. Then the following you have in front of you is a list of people to hire for the Wings After School Extended Program, and you have that list in front of you.
We'll note that the Poplar Springs have not got their list in yet,
Right.
we'll have that for later. Heard the recommendation, Mr. Goodman, do we have a motion?
I move approval.
Superintendent's personnel recommendation. Motion by Mr. Johnson, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Justice, any discussion? Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
I abstain from voting due to a voting conflict. Brings us to item 10, comments. Mr. Goodman?
No, sir.
Ms. Owens?
None.
Mr. Justice? Mr. Johnson?
No.
Move adjourned. Motion from Mr. Johnson, do we have a second? Second. Second from Mr. Justice. Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Yes. Chair votes yes. Thank you. Went down,